Welcome, everyone, to the Holsteinhouse podcast. I'm the West Virginia woman, Robin, of robinholstein.com and Holstein House, where my guests get a great night's sleep at a fair rate plus breakfast. This is a podcast that looks at society and culture issues affecting families in West Virginia and the United States, from food preparation and storage, gardening, home repairs, current events, and more. We'll go around the table and back in 60 minutes or less. So let's hang out and talk a while.
Well, I have to say, I didn't hear anything on my headphones. So that's probably why. I am not sure that the music played this morning. I hope it did. Well, good morning. It has been a hot minute again. I'm Robin Holstein. I own Holstein House, a small B&B in the center of Kanawha County, West Virginia, United States. And this is the Holstein House broadcast. It's been a little while since we've been together. I didn't mean to do that. I'm hitting all kinds of wrong buttons this morning. I am trying to pull up my notes, and what I did was try to open a Office Word, and I don't want to do that, and I can't get it to cancel. So, anyways. Welcome to June of 2024. The year is half over, and what a year it has been already. Just so much going on, not only in the world, but here at Holstein House and in our lives and things, and hopefully we'll be able to get back on track again. But this morning, I think this is episode 128. We have had a big gap in episodes here recently due to some life things. So, but I think it's 128 of the Holstein House broadcast, and we're answering your questions on hosting a B&B from your home or really anywhere. Keeping your food pantry stocked and prepared, and food preparation and storage questions, and just a lot more of everyday life type of things that go on out here in the real world, where our kitchens are not Pinterest ready and our beds might not be made up. So I do want to give a shout out to those of you who are listening on the podcast, and understand that I will do my best to describe things knowing that you can't see them. Try to close that out there. I had that window finally pop up. I really need to upgrade my tech. I'm just scattered to the four winds, as you might say. But be sure and say hello if you whether you're on one of the broadcast videos that you see on Rumble or YouTube or Facebook, or anywhere else you might happen to see it, or if you're on the a podcast listening via podcast. I hope you'll leave some comments. And while I do have this distributed through a lot of different podcast apps, I don't always see comments. So if you comment on a podcast that you hear and you don't hear back from me right away, drop me an email. Go to robinholstein.com and go to the contact page. It has all kinds of stuff there, all of the social media platforms that I try to populate, and it has the contact email address that you can send me an email directly and say, hey, I listened to episode, and fill in the blank for the episode. Just wanted to say hey, and caught the podcast or the broadcast, however you want to do it. Thought it was good, thought it was bad, thought this, thought that. You're welcome to do that, and I hope you will. So usually I have a series of things we're going to go over, and today I just kind of want to catch up on a little bit of things, but I do want to talk to you. I did put in the header, we will talk a little bit about propagating Christmas cactus. Now, I have holiday cactus in the description because it really applies to all of that type, and I don't pronounce the technical word for the holiday cactus, the technical name for the holiday cactus very well, so I don't want to trip up over that. So we'll just say holiday cactus. But a neat little way to propagate those holiday cactus or cacti then might end up costing you a little bit of nothing that you could potentially sell for a little bit of something. And we're not talking hundreds of dollars, just a few dollars here or there. But, you know, every little bit helps in today's economy, as crappy as it happens to be. And I do want to talk a little bit about a couple of projects. One that I have completed, and I was kind of in the evaluation. Do I like this? Do I not like this? And it has to do with the flatware drawer and the overwhelming amount of flatware mismatched pieces that I have, and trying to keep up with all of that. Something I thought, a product that I purchased that, and I'm not sponsored, so don't think that I'm not sponsored, but a product I purchased that I think you might be interested in as a way to try to tame down that flatware drawer. And also a project that I'm going to do in video on vacuum sealing jars. Now, we're not talking about mason jars, traditional mason jar vacuum sealing. This is like your upcycled or your recycled jars that, you know, maybe salsa jars or cheese jars, you know, like Cheese Whiz, and or peanut butter jars, the actual glass jars, not the plastic ones, but the glass jars with those lug lids that you have the thing. But anyway, it's a little project that I want to try, and I'm going to show you with the box, the product that I bought. I haven't opened it yet because I'm going to video that separately and upload it later. But and then just kind of talk a little bit about some things that I'm thinking about doing. Love to hear your feedback on whether you'd be interested in those type of projects. So. But I do want to share a little bit about what's been going on around the house, and we are in full tilt garden season. And this year I expanded my container garden. I shared some of that with you in my most recent video a few weeks ago, and it's doing very well. I do have my zucchini and my squash in hanging baskets on my back porch. I do have some in my larger container garden containers, the big white ones that I have, but I do have some that are hanging on the back porch that I purchased. They were already started. So I purchased plant starts at the farm market a few weeks ago and put them in hanging baskets on the back porch. And the back porch gets just a ton of light. There are a couple of spots on the back porch that gets all day light from sunup to sundown, and they're perfect for the squash. There are places on the back porch that just get morning sun, and that's great for the lettuce. And the lettuce is ready to start cutting. It's in really fine shape. It's leaf lettuce. Leaf lettuce is really good for your sandwiches. You can cut it, it grows back. It's not like the iceberg head lettuce where you cut it off at the base and it doesn't come back. This leaf lettuce grows in a plant shape, and you clip the leaves off, you wash them up, you use them for your meals, and it comes back. So I have quite a few of those. I have some lettuce that I bought. It's organic lettuce, and I bought it at the grocery store on clearance or I think it's called markdown when it's groceries or produce. It was organic. It's like head lettuce, but it's, I wish I knew the name of it right off, but I took it. It was like $1.50. I think I shared this with you last time. It was a little plastic clamshell, and I just put it in its own peat pot and let it get the roots started back up. It has some roots on it, but they thin, and so I got it down in there, and it's really grown. It's grown pretty well, so I'll try to show that to you later. If you happen to come across the live stream, be sure and say hello. Hey, and even if you don't, if you come back across the recording of the stream, I hope you'll say hello, because I really want to see everybody and catch up with you if we have the opportunity. So that's taken a lot of my attention in the last few weeks, is working on the container garden. The ducks and the chickens, the dogs and the cats, of course, are all still here and still doing quite well. I did lose some chickens to a dog. I reached out to the neighbor who I believe owned the dog. They denied that their dog was out. You know, what do you do? The chicken was already gone. The dog was eating the chicken. The dog runs off. I got a picture of the dog thanks to another neighbor, and asked who I think was the owner of that dog. And they said, no, my dog is here in the house. And here's a picture of my dog sitting on my couch. Well, that could have been a picture from 2 weeks ago. I don't know. But I haven't seen that particular dog back. I haven't replaced the chickens yet. And I did lose one of my young ducks the other day. I have no idea what happened. She came in with the rest of the ducks. She was a little slow coming in, but she came in with the rest of the ducks when I put them in the run for the evening. Then when I went out to lock up, she was gone. And she hadn't been gone very long, but she was gone, definitely gone. There was no life in her, and there was no bites, there was no sores. I didn't see anything to cause a problem. She could have been egg bound. I thought they were getting ready to molt. They're all four of them are starting to look like they're about to molt. Ducks do molt, and they're old enough to do that. So I guess she could have been egg bound, because when they molt, they don't lay. I just don't know. But so I'm down to one young duck and my two old ladies, and lost two chickens, and it's just crazy. But you have that. You have that. And when you're dealing with such a small flock, it only takes one to be a big percentage of your flock. So it does hurt. And I was upset about it, obviously. Upset, what has happened. It's very expensive to have a necropsy done on these animals, and I can't afford that. So there's no other signs. None of the other birds seem to be ill. So I'm just going to chalk it up to genetics and be done with that. So that has been a depressing point. Not doing it. I have my long-term renter. She will be skipping most of the summer. She'll be back in the fall. Her children are out of school. She doesn't have care for them after school now that her spouse is back home, or back to work, I should say. And so she will be driving. She won't be staying. So she stayed with us about just right at 6 months. So I was glad to have her. I'm going to welcome her back. Told her, just be sure and let me know when you're about to come back, so to make sure that I get that calendar blocked off again. I'll be opening the calendar up starting next week, and welcoming back my traveling friends that come and go. Quick camp never really took off. It's been kind of flaky. It wasn't the fault of the quick camp. It was my version of hip camp. Hip camp didn't approve me because we don't have enough acreage, and that's fine. I don't have any problem with that. But I was going to try to do it anyway, and I just this year have not been able to get it together to do it. And AirBTC has not taken off. I'm going to have to reach out to them and find out what's going on, because the last I heard from them, they were updating the website and all of that, and they said they would send out a message, and there's been nothing. So I have not heard back from them at all. I need to follow up with them once I get some other things settled down. Miscellaneous, the lung issue. I still have asthma, and you can hear still the raspiness that the medication's doing to me, and it kills me, because it just kills me. I think it's there's an allergy component to it that I need to talk to the lung doctor about it, because on days when the pollen counts are higher, I have more difficulty. And anybody who's had asthma or any lung issues knows that's kind of part of it. So I still don't have a great treatment plan in place yet. I do have an inhaler that I'm using twice a day. I can tell a difference if I miss it. I can really tell a difference when I miss it, but I'm having this breakthrough cough and tightness a little bit, especially with the pollen count up. So that's no fun. Let's see. Noster, I've been back on Noster a little bit. I'm still struggling with Noster, not in that I don't know how to use it. I know how to use Noster. Noster is very similar to the old Twitter. The problem I have with Noster is there's not a lot of folks participating in it that have the same interests that I do. And so a lot of what's in my feed is just constant yay Noster, this is the way of the world. Yay BTC, this is the way of the world. We're so great, we're so great. Rah, echo chamber cheerleading stuff. I like Bitcoin. I like Noster. I do think things are changing, but I don't need you to tell me that 95 posts out of 96. So I'm trying to cull my lists a little bit and wean off some of those constant cheerleaders. I mean, I would like to have real conversation over there, and I'm not. There's a couple of folks who picked up on that. Not so much because I said anything about it, no reason at all. But a couple of folks that I'm following that have made comment that, this is getting old. I've been on it a year, and I'm still seeing the same kind of stuff. There's nothing new. There's very little updates. And what it does is it overwhelms my feed, the feed of folks that I'm following, to where I can't see everyone unless I go to their individual profiles, and I'm not in there for that. So I'm slowly starting to pull back and cut people out, and I am sharing Satoshis, I am sharing comments, and I do try to go through, but I can spend 10 minutes and not see yet maybe 4 organic, informative posts, or even just general comments that's not maybe one of these days I'll show you my feed. And I know 100% it's my fault. It's who I have in my feed. But I don't have enough. There's not enough for me to go out and find other people that's using it. And there's a lot of people on some of the other programs like Telegram and even YouTube and some of the other things that are using it to have a good dialogue and to share information, and it's just one of those things. It's new technology. It's open source. There's lots of changes. There's lots of updates. And some of the programs that I'm using, I have Damus on my iPhone. I can't zap from Damus. But I don't want to put yet another app on my iPhone. It's getting so crowded with stuff now, just trying to, weed them all out, that I just wait until I'm at the desktop and then I zap from the desktop. So there's that. Let's see. I still have the Fountain podcast. I'm still going to be using that. I haven't had the podcast, obviously. I'm doing podcasts at the same time I'm doing the broadcast, the videos, and I haven't had much up lately. So I need to get back in there and see what's going on. Let's see. I don't want to spend a lot of time on the catching up because there's not a lot going on. I really want to get to some of the projects. I don't know that I'm going to have a lot. I probably won't go a full hour. I mean, I've only been going 20 minutes so far, and and there's not a whole lot exciting happening. I do, one of the things, let me show you this. Let me go ahead and start in on the cactus propagation. Anyone who is familiar with the holiday cactus, you see them Easter, you see them Thanksgiving, and they started really popularity with Christmas, and they would call it Christmas cactus. And there's you tell the difference not just when they bloom, because you may have one that doesn't bloom or doesn't bloom very often, and you may have it in the wrong room for it to bloom very often. There's a lot that goes to it, but you tell by, pardon me, the shape of the leaves. And the leaves will either have sharp or rounded ends on them, and how sharp or how round they are. And I only have the one myself, so I can't show you a variety of them. It tells you which cactus they are, and of course you can do a search online and find out. But what they all have in common is they're not the type of plant that you have a root ball that you plunk in the dirt. These things they're not really a parasite, but they grow. They're kind of like moss is. Moss gets on something, it lives on it without damaging it. These Christmas cactus or these holiday cactus do the same thing. The tropical areas that they're from, they would tend to grow in like if you had a stem and the trunk and the stem, they would grow in that little elbow or that little pocket there where a stem comes out. Some debris might settle in there. You might get a little bit of rot, or you may get a little bit of water setting in there, and so the roots would grow to that. They don't really grow a stem, and then they grow in these segments. And the segments to me kind of look like mittens. But one of the things that I'm doing with mine in the propagating is let me come back around this way. Let me do it this way. One of the ways that you can save money on buying things and selling things, especially with plants, is by reusing a container, obviously. Now, what I'm going to show you, this little thing here, this is from Wendy's restaurant. And you buy these for $5, and then you can get a free Junior Frosty, which is the little ones. It actually says, I think, limited to once a day, but transaction per day. No, it says one free Junior Frosty per transaction per visit per key tag with any at restaurant purchase. Now, they don't really make you stick to that at restaurant purchase, because I've gone in and said I want a Junior Frosty, and they just asked me what flavor and give it to me. So this little thing costs $5, and what you get is I didn't bring the empty cup over here. You get a little empty cup, a little Junior Frosty cup with a lid, and the lid looks like this. It's a little hooped up lid. And I have found that those are wonderful things to propagate plants, to sell, or to give. And I'm doing it with the Christmas cactus. This is a Christmas cactus that started with a piece that broke off, just because you can bump into them, a piece will break off. You see a lot of times they'll tell you to propagate a Christmas cactus or a holiday cactus by cutting it just the right spot or breaking it off at just the right spot. It's slow. It's very slow, but you don't have to do it that way. I've knocked off single leaves and done this, and they're growing. And not just growing, but growing nicely. And this is one that I've done. So this is the Junior Frosty cup, and it would have had a Junior, and I always get chocolate because that's the kind I like. It would have had this lid on it. And what I've done, as you can see here, is I've put about a halfway full of potting soil. And then all I did was just set down this piece of holiday cactus. Mine's actually a Thanksgiving cactus. Down on the dirt. I didn't even pack it in there. Oh, get it up where you can see it. I didn't even pack it in there. I just kind of set it on the dirt, put a few drops of water, enough to make it damp, and then I put the lid on. like this to make like a little tiny miniature terrarium. There's a good little shot. And then after I was sure it was going to live because it didn't die, and I could see, and I don't think you're going to be able to see. Is this going to work? I'm trying to put this behind you. I don't think that's going to work. Let me see. There's so much glare. There are actually in the back of this plant, right? Let me get this stick. Right here. I know it's almost impossible to see. Little roots coming down from between these two leaves. And so once I knew that this thing had rooted, and honestly, I'd have to take a picture with the camera and put it up there because you just, I don't think you can see it. No matter, they are right there. Once I saw that, once they rooted well, I took the lid off and I poked a hole in it to let some moisture circulate through there, so it wouldn't get too, because they're tropical, but it wouldn't get too wet. And I left the lid on it, and I put it in an east-facing light source. It's not actually in the window. It's been on this shelf behind me, the refrigerator, top of the refrigerator for several weeks, and it gets the morning sun. And you see, hold this up this way. I've got down in here, let me move my fat fingers. Down in here, I've got several new starts off of it. So this is an original leaf that when I bumped into it, 3 of them come off. There's this one and this one, and then the one that's on the ground. And so it has already grown. I'm trying to turn this around. There you go. There you go. It has already grown. 1, 2, 3. 3 new shoots, 3 new leaves. I'm tickled to death with this. So I don't water it very often. And I have only recently taken the lid off once this got up to where it was leaning on the, touching the top of the lid there. And I just put a few drops of water on it every so often because it doesn't need a lot. It's kind of a succulent, but it doesn't need a lot of water. It's easy to overwater these. And what will happen over time is these lower leaves, these lower segments will get real woody looking, real brown and tough looking, and you want to leave that alone. That's the way it's supposed to be. They do like to be root bound, so that I don't want to change this out very often to a bigger pot. And when I do, I don't want to go too much bigger. But this is the perfect. So let me get back to this. I paid $5 for this little tag at Wendy's. I get a free one of these with each use of that little tag. And now it says with a purchase, but I've gone in and just gotten the free one. It just depends on what store you go to. And in theory, I could drive to multiple ones in multiple, because there's no barcode or anything on this for it to say, oh, you've used it today. So in theory, I could stop. So then so not only have I eaten my Frosty, which was kind of free, because after you use this 5 times, these little things are about $1. After you use this 5 times, the rest of them are no additional charge. Or you paid for your little card. But I've got this plastic, which I know plastic, but it's got the dome lid. And so there's no additional charge. The soil I'm going to have anyway, because I'm changing out my plants and stuff. And I can start these. I could sell this for $1 and make, after 5 of them, I've made $5, and I've only paid $5, and I've eaten 10, Frosties. So it's just an idea, and it's a way to reduce putting these plastics in the earth, reuse these things for something else, and recycle, reduce, reuse, and recycle. So, and I can sell this and make just a little bit of pocket change. So there's that. So if you've ever wondered how you can make a little extra money with plants, you can use your Junior Frosty cup and lid and start them and then sell them as one piece. So there's that. Something else I wanted to share with you. I talked a little bit about, let me do that so I can see what's going on over here. I talked a little bit about my flatware drawer, and people usually call them silverware drawer. I'm kind of funny because I don't have any silver in my silverware drawer. I have flatware, which is stainless steel that looks like silver or plastic or whatever. And I got started calling it flatware many, many years ago when I worked in a restaurant, because that's what we did. We had flatware. It wasn't silverware. But my flatware drawer was way out of hand, and I over the years I've had I've never, let me think. I think I've actually purchased one set. You know, you go and you buy the set, and it's a certain four place setting set of flatware. Maybe it has some extra serving, tablespoons or forks or something, and salad forks and different things. But I've only purchased a couple of those, 2 that I know of, that I remember straight up. I purchased my first set of flatware, actual set of flatware, at the PX in Fort Hood, Texas, at the AFES. AFES is I guess it still is, I don't know, but AFES was the name of the Army Air Force Exchange store, and it was the department store on base. And you went to commissary to get groceries, and you went to AFES to get clothes and linens and things, dry goods and things that you'd get at a department store. And I bought that when I was living at Fort Hood, Texas. We went out there. We used a lot of his bonus money to buy our household things, because when we moved out there, we had nothing but our clothes. So we bought a set of bed sheets and a comforter and pillows and dishes and cups and, all of those things. And so my first set of flatware I got at AFES at Fort Hood, Texas. And I think they changed the name of Fort Hood, but I don't care. It's always Fort Hood to me. And then since then, I've just kind of pieced them in, picked up a few pieces here, picked up like the Goodwill or whatever, ended up with some left over at a family reunion. People say, whose fork and spoons are these? And we actually purchased some at a dollar store not long after Mr. Holstein and I were married. And it was just, I didn't have, for whatever reason, pieces were missing. I don't know how that stuff goes missing, but pieces were missing. So we would buy, fork, knife, and spoon here and there. And so they were always mismatched. And knives the same way. I'd get a couple of knives from here, a couple of knives from there. We'd buy some knives to put in the camper. They'd end up migrating into the house. But I ended up with a flatware drawer that was just full of mismatched pieces. And I decided the other day that I really needed to get a handle on this. I have a traditional plastic Rubbermaid avocado green flatware tray that you put in a drawer to keep all your flatware together. And it was long. I mean, it's still perfectly fine as far as being able to use it, but I have way too much flatware to go in it. So I started looking around, and I want to share this. Share the screen with you. Where is it? It's a drawer divider. Let's see if it'll pick it up here. Yeah, so let me do that. There we go, I think. Nope, let's do it. Oh, let's do it this way. So what you see there, this is and I don't get anything. I'm not sponsored by these people or anything. This is a 45 pack of drawer dividers, and it's exactly what it looks like. It's a big strip of these plastic dividers, and they piece together, and it's way more than I need. I don't need 45, so I'll end up giving some to Mr. Holstein to go out in his shop to go into some of his drawers out there if they fit. So let me do this again. I'll show you what I've got. They are a little thin. If I can get them out of here. They are, if you leave them long, they do bend. They bend easily if you have very much weight against them in your drawer. And that is one of the complaints in the reviews that you will read, is they're flimsy. And they are if you leave them full length. Now, every time you, and of course the little they go together like a puzzle. Every time you do something like this, where you're connecting them, that strengthens them a little bit. So if you leave them full length, and I did that on a couple of, like for my knives and stuff, they will give. But if you make shorter boxes, what you find is, well, I should have got a third one out. It's not, it does stiffen them up if you use them in shorter sections. So I will do this. And if I have them this way, this, I know it's hard to see, this doesn't give as much. The longer the section, the more flex it's in it, is basically what I'm trying to say. And the shorter the section, the less flex you're going to have. So if you had a section like this, it takes a lot more to flex that out. And you can cut these. You don't want to use your best shears on them, though. They are tough. They are plastic. Come out there. But they can be cut. And they're numbered. I don't know if you can see the number on there. Let me do that. They are numbered. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that you can count the rows and so that you can get them cut evenly. And I used 4 to make a square. And then I divided that square, and then I added some, like 1 to the end, and then divided that to make them fit the paring knives and the odd teaspoons, the small teaspoons, and the long iced teaspoons, and the long knives and the short knives and salad forks and stuff. You can adjust these. They do well for that. They can help you organize your kitchen drawers, and not just kitchen drawers. You can use those to organize your underwear drawer. You can use them to organize your kitchen linen drawers. You can use anything that you need to divide. They're pretty good for it. Just make sure, it took me a while to figure out the setup I wanted. How did I want, because I knew what size the drawer is that I keep my flatware. It's wider than these are long, so even if I made a square, I still had extra space out and around, and I thought, how am I going to use that? And I might maybe I'll take a picture of that and put that up at a later time. But it has worked so far. One of the things that I had issue with is the little dividers that I had bought, which were also plastic, that I was using in the drawer, in addition to the traditional flatware holder, was that stuff slid as I opened and closed the drawer. So I wanted to make things so that they couldn't get shoved to the back, because those plastic bins that I had before were getting mashed with the weight of the flatware that was slamming back and forth. I didn't want to use bamboo drawer dividers because they take, if you look at how wide they are, initially you don't think much about it, but if you stop long enough and think, they take up quite a bit of space. These are very, very thin, or like I showed you, I mean, they don't take up much space at all. The bamboo ones are at least twice this, and they take up a lot of space in the drawers. But I mean, if you don't have that much, and it's, you know, whatever you want to do, I just wanted to share with you something that I had purchased, and that was these drawer dividers. So these are actually called the plank. I think it's called Planko. Now it just says 45 pack drawer divider, plastic adjustable drawer storage. And yeah, that's fine. Oh yeah, manufacturer PTANOK. Pan. It's another one of those words I don't spell very well or pronounce very well. So, but I mean, there's mixed reviews, and there's other brands that you can get. There's other styles you can get. There's other colors you can get. But it's just an idea for you to tackle your flatware drawer, is to get these dividers and use them to sort your flatware drawers. It's a good option, and could come in handy. The next thing I wanted to share with you is something else that I want to talk a little bit about. And that is this. Come on. It is, I don't think you, here, let me do this. I'm going to do it this way. Now, this is for my next experiment that I want to show you. This is the Fresh Daddy 3-piece vacuum seal container set. And again, I'm not sponsored by these folks, so this is not something that I'm going to make any money off of or get any points for. And the reason I got these containers, and I haven't opened the box yet, but these containers are designed to vacuum seal. Okay. And this is, I don't have this brand of vacuum seal machine, but I do have a vacuum sealer, and mine's actually a Ziploc, but it's kind of old and on its last legs. The idea is you hook your vacuum sealer up with the appropriate hose attachment onto this lid and vacuum seal the jar. What I want to try is to vacuum seal a jar in one of the jars. So the idea, and I have not opened this because I'm going to do an opening and then do the attempt to seal it, see how it works. The idea is to put a smaller jar into one of these larger jars, one of the clunk lids that we were talking about, that like a salsa jar or something down in here, and then vacuum and see if it will pull the vacuum on the jar inside enough to reseal that lid. Those things can't be reused like in a hot water situation, like a hot water bath or a pressure cooking. They're not designed for that type of, I mean, they're designed for commercial sealing, and then that seal inside may or may not reseal, you know, and is it really something you want to risk losing food over because you didn't get it sealed, you know? And I'm not interested in losing food. I'm not interested in attempting to do canning projects that may or may not work. You know, I'm going to I'm sorry, I'm doing too many things at once. I'm going to use things that are proven that work. When folks will say, oh, I've been doing this for years, I've been, preserving my own food, I've been putting food in these jars and resealing them, I do it all the time, I'm not interested in dealing with that. So I'm not going to do that. Hang on a second. There we go. I'm not going to waste food that way. I'm not going to take a chance on my food getting contaminated. It's just, food's too expensive to do that. So I'm going to try this, and I'm going to film that so that you guys can see that. And I'd love to have your comments back on it. You guys who are on the podcast, I'll try to do a running commentary so you can join in, listen in, and follow along. Well, I am at 45 minutes. It's really all I've got today. I really hope you will share with me your thoughts. Oh, here's something else I wanted to do. I'm trying to work up a series of videos to do, and I would love to know what you think about these ideas. I obviously, I don't think there's any reason to do a video on plunking down a holiday cactus in some dirt and letting it go. But if you throw me to show you, I'll show you. The drawer, I've already done that, so I wouldn't do a video to redo it. I could do one, I guess, and show you how to cut them, but I mean, everybody knows how to cut them. Laying them out is going to depend totally on what you're using them for and your drawer space. The vacuum seal experiment, I do want to make that one a video. I don't know how long that'll be, but I do want to make that a separate video. And here's some other things that I was thinking about that you might be interested in, and if you are, I'd love to hear from you about them. Would you like me to share with you how to do some very basic things like dehydrating breadcrumbs? If there are folks out there who are new to all of these things, I'd love to share with you how I do it and options. I have given workshops on them at the church. I think some of you guys who've been following me for a long time know that I was doing a lot of we had Bible study every Wednesday morning, and then we were having lunch and learns. And for a long time, we were doing lunch and learns every week. And then we started backing off because we weren't getting much participation. And then now we're not having them at all. That's a different story for another day. But I have done a lot of those workshops. I have a lot of handouts and things together for that, for dehydrating foods, reconstituting, cooking with dehydrating foods. Those are some things that are obviously options that we can share. I've done meals in jar workshops and explain, and some folks seem to grasp easily how to put those back together, and some folks didn't. I'm not real crafty, so when I try to do little crafty things, they kind of look not really exciting. But if you're crafty and you just need a little idea, that might help. I've done workshops with dollar store candles and embossing them and decorating them up for holidays and things like that, if you'd like to know how to do that. Vintage recipes. I have several antique 100-year-old recipe books. And I thought, well, maybe I could flag a few recipes in there that might be interesting for somebody to fix. I did have someone ask me, I don't make chow chow, but I had someone ask me about a recipe for it. And I found someone who shared their recipe with me for it, and it was exactly what they were trying to recreate, and they were never able to get it just right. So I have that chow chow recipe. Basic sewing. Would you like to know, is there anybody out there who needs ideas on basic sewing, like sewing buttons, sewing hems? Not like the kind you sing, but hemming your pants, hemming a cuff. repairs, making small repairs, basic sewing like that. Just generic basic cooking, eggs, just basic scrambling eggs. Or now I don't cook like Julia Child, but is there an egg recipe that you'd like to see, or an idea with eggs that you'd like to know about? I fixed quiche last night, spinach quiche. Hadn't fixed it in a long time. Forgot the salt, it was edible. It was still good, but I could tell the salt was missing and forgotten the salt. Making bread, making butter. I've done videos on buttermilk. I think I actually have a video out there on making butter. The cost differences. What is it? I know I can buy butter at the store and I can make butter. Which one's better? Or is there one better? What's better for my banking account? Budgeting, household budgeting. I could do that. Oh, let's see. Upcycling. I have a book on upcycling out there I've shared with some of you guys. I have enough stuff. I could have done a second book, and I don't know where I stored those files, if they're on a thumb drive or if they're in the cloud. Removing labels. I did a video on that not too long ago. Vacuum sealing. Just gifts in jars. We could do cheese. I haven't made cheese in a long time. But what we have going on right now, part of the problem is, we can make it, but is it cost effective? Yes, we know what's in it when we make it ourselves, but is it cost effective? In today's economy, in June of 2024 in the United States, it might not be financially in your best interest to make everything yourself. You may need, then again, it may be better for you if you knew how to do some very basic cooking to help save some money. In the course of saving money, is it worth your time? These are things that we have to balance, especially in today's world where, it often takes more than one income just to run a small household. I'm always an advocate of looking where you can cut as far as, things, your household bills and stuff. Do you need all the streaming services, or can you get by with just one? Do you need all the phones, or can you get by with just one? And, is it worth having a cable service, or can you just use your telephone? And there's so many things that we can talk about, and I'd love to hear what you'd like to know about. I'd love to hear things that maybe you don't want to ask somebody else about the household. Maybe you feel a little self-conscious, or maybe you weren't taught. Maybe you weren't taught how to do something. So I'd love to talk to you about that. So I'm going to wrap it up here. We're just at very close to an hour, 55 minutes or so. But I do want to extend that invitation to you to ask me any of the questions about running a household that you may have. In today's world, we're so used to running out and buying everything, and we're paying a small fortune for things. I saw on the news this morning that there are places in the United States where a Big Mac sandwich from McDonald's, just the sandwich, is almost $9. That's insane. When the cost of bread and the cost of ground beef, there's no way you come up with $9 for a sandwich, even if you fixed it yourself. So there are things that we can do. And, it's not it doesn't have to be perfect. Good nutrition is good, but nutrition is important. You need to eat. And if it's the difference between eating a box of macaroni and cheese and not eating at all, eat the macaroni and cheese. If your budget is such that you can only afford hot dogs and ramen noodles, that's where you got to start. And I'd love to work that out with you. So, let me know if you have ideas or things that you'd like to try, or information you'd like more on a topic. I'd love to talk to you about it. But we're going to sign out for that and close this out for the day. and I'm going to try to get some videos done and try to get, I did one the other day out in the yard, and I need to edit it up. But we'll be back with you soon, and I look forward to hearing your comments. So you take care, and we'll talk to you again later. Well, we might talk to you again later. I got too much stuff going on here. So we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
So there you have it. Post your comments, do all that boosting, liking, sharing, thumbs up, and stuff that helps spread the word and poke the algorithms. Follow me on most of the big social media platforms and look for my name, Robin Holstein, or Holstein House. Till next time, bye-bye.